guess one of the advantages that these startups have now is that, in a sense, the availability of the technology has leveled the playing field. The same sort of technology that an Amazon or BNB or whoever has access to, in most cases, these startups have access to and are able to pursue that strategy that Nick spoke about. So I think that has allowed for that sort of proliferation of startups. And everybody with an idea who wants to test it can, set up a sandbox somewhere and start innovating and start producing. So I think that augurs well for the businesses in the environment, for our young startups, techies who think they can just jump in. And I think it gives them the opportunity to, as you say, fail fast if they have to, but also win big if they have to, right? As it relates to us as a business, obviously one of the key words now is agility, is creating an infrastructure that allows us to respond quickly to the needs that we see in the marketplace, to the needs that we see coming out of our different customers. And that is certainly the plan for the bank and the group. How do we create an IT infrastructure that allows us, one, I guess, the resilience that is now required, or I shouldn't say not required, but always required, but I think now more put into focus. But certainly the agility is one of the other factors that we have to throw into the mix, because things can change on a dime. The strategy you had in January 2020 was forced to be accelerated, changed, redesigned come March 2020, and now in September that could be totally different. So you're strategizing on the fly, so to speak, because you're responding on the fly to a lot of different issues. So I think the use of the technology is certainly something that the technology capabilities, let me put it that way, is certainly something that the bank is jumping on. What are the opportunities we have under this type of cloud infrastructure, using agile mechanisms to allow us to be more responsive? A big part of it is also, Nick spoke about it earlier, is the use of data. Data is sort of the new gold or oil or whatever it is you want to call it. It's how do we use data from our customers to provide them with a better service, to anticipate sometimes their service. We all have the examples of browsing on our website for one thing and continuously seeing similar offers being put in front of us as we browse other sites. So it's how do we capture that, put that to good use, put that to beneficial use of the customer, because at the end of the day, it's not just gathering data for data's sake. At some point, it has to benefit your customer. Obviously, one of the challenges that businesses also face when we start delving into the issue of data is the issue of privacy. What are you using my data for, and so on. And so we obviously need to be managed around the whole governance concerns around the use of data, privacy of customers, putting that data to use in a way that is beneficial for the customer, and not just taking the customer's data and using it willy-nilly, so to speak. I think that's a very important part of businesses moving forward, because you have a lot of data, but at the end of the day, that data, one, I guess customers have to consent to your use of the data, and we're seeing that now as a sort of standard factor on all sites, making sure that customers, explicitly agree to the use of data and so on, and giving them the choice to opt out. And that is going to be a significant part of how businesses need to operate moving forward.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a question. A question that I like to ask people during these times. It's almost like a good disruption check that you've mentioned. Is there an example of a product or a service or a solution or an offering that you brought forward, kind of building on your point of, hey, January had a plan, and then, okay, the plan is kind of out the window. Is there an example of something that you brought forward as a result of this disruption from the bank standpoint, and launched early, or went to market a little sooner than it was fully baked because of what was happening?
Well, it's still in the oven, so I can't tell you what is going to come off. So that is happening. But one example I can give is how, for instance, we looked at certain aspects of our onboarding and fulfillment, and we're able to change that quickly to allow us to move forward. I mean, one of the challenges we did face, for instance, was signing up for our internet banking and so on, and we were able to quickly pivot into a way that allowed us to be more actually to be no touch on it, because previously you had to send in a particular document to the bank, you had to sign this and do certain things. And in trying to get a lot more people signed up for internet banking, we were able internally to look at that whole process and change it into a format that allowed customers to interact with us via WhatsApp, to interact with us by sending photos and that type of thing, which would have been a challenge, quote unquote, for us prior to the pandemic. So we've seen changes in our approach. We've seen changes in I guess, in your risk, tolerance or risk appetite, as you looked at different things, because you needed to pivot to make that thing work for you during these times. So we're seeing that there are other products, as I said, that are on the way, that will be launched in the near future, that we think are complementary, if you want to call it that, to this type of environment. But it is, of course, we have, of course, as an organization, started to run a lot faster on these types of things.